Do you know if that's going to make it onto YouTube?
You put my boobs on YouTube, girl.
give the channel a little bit of One of the only problems with this festival is the amount of things that I want to attend. Last year's schedule was 17 pages, this year's is 30. And there are so many clashes. What will I do? You're right there, girl.
What to do? There's pages on pages, back pages, and side pages.
She didn't realise it was double-sided.
Where
am I?
Where am I?
In the palace, Del Gasha, with her double bed, blow-up bed, not on the ground, of course. I love it.
Jump in.
Wow. Just need a chandelier here, darling. Close enough, though.
Connect to your bleed and honour your body's need to slow down and listen to itself and its wisdom running through your veins. You deserve to feel seen, heard, held and honoured in every way at stage of your cycle. I love my bleed.
How funny is that I just started recording?
Did you?
And then you just walk.
I just listened
You
to
come
your
to
voice.
me.
So I'm just about to go to bed. I am exhausted. The festival's much bigger than this year. Lots of people, met some really lovely people already. But given that I entered this festival with empath burnout, like really overloaded, really doing a lot and very tired, I'm feeling already how I really need to honour my body while I'm here, and to really listen and not to get caught up in wanting to do everything because the timetable is just so packed. So I'm going to get a really good night's sleep, maybe not set an alarm, and then let my body guide the way for the days that unfold. So let's see what's to come.
I'm so proud of myself.
I am proud of you. She got a tarpaulin. I'm under here hiding from the rain.
I'm not entirely sure with the weight of the rain how long it's going to hold. We'll find out.
Ready to go, Mum?
No, she's not going climbing up Mount Snowdon. She is in fact just walking to the festival. In Crocs! What is that? What is that? Are they your actual shoes of choice?
Someone bought them for me my friend bought them for me for my birthday, and I live in them now.
But as wet weather shoes, are they ideal?
They're all I've got. It's either that or barefoot. They're in sports mode.
I It's funny that when I was here last year, I was very much in this doing energy because the schedule was so full and I wanted to do so much. And this year, I'm being broken open. Such a big death portal after Lionsgate, with all of these like incredibly high frequency energies that came in, and this expansion happened. It's like now my nervous system and my human is having to catch up and purge all of the things that have been in the way of me anchoring that level of expansion and soul embodiment. So I'm in the van and I've really made peace with just being in my own space and only going into the festival when I feel I've got the capacity to, and letting myself have a good cry. I've done some yoga, I drank some cacao, I've done some journaling. I've just been crying in my van. Got a lovely little setup here. Like, I'm really letting the land hold me. The land is very powerful here. Apparently there are 3 ley lines very close to one another. I don't think they intersect, but it's very charged land here. And on top of all the collective and, intentions they're infused, it just feels like a very powerful space. So I am doing it my way this year. The theme is harmonise. And I'm learning that what needs to harmonise is alignment for me within, trusting and honouring my own rhythms. So that is the focus for today, day 2. Had an insane healing, a Hathor initiation in a tent full of 60 women, and it was very powerful. I cried and purged and released and was held. So many other women did as well. It was just insane. And then I was guided to take a naked swim in the lake. So here we are. And now I'm just flowing, just letting my body guide the way, feeling lighter.
Thanks for life.
So it's all a bit Wild West as I've sat down to film this. I realised that the reason my headphones haven't been working and calls and a workshop I held yesterday was because of this, I've just noticed. So I have these headphones, but I'm not going to sit here looking like a pilot. So I hope you can hear me okay. I just wanted to sit after sharing that compilation and reflect on the lessons that I learned this year from the festival and really what that container of Medicine Festival reflected back to me about my own experience and about this evolving ascending process that we're all on, either consciously or unconsciously. It was a very different experience to what I had last year. Last year it was my first time at Medicine Festival, my first time ever at a festival. And I was like a child, and I was just so enamored with it all, and I tried to go to as many things as possible. And I had lots of energy for the festival last year, so it was a very expansive and playful time last year. This year, I entered into the festival, as I mentioned in the video, in burnout. From the end of July up until Lionsgate on the 8th of August, I went through this crazy 2 or 3 weeks of just expansion. I was just so much light, so much of my soul frequency was coming through, and I was accessing these states of consciousness that I've never accessed or embodied in a consistent way before. And then on the 9th, I think it was the day after Lionsgate, everything just crashed. And it was almost like the elastic band of expansion snapped back. And so that brings me kind of to my first point, that really was very strongly illuminated while I was at the festival, that on this journey of evolution, of ascension, of becoming embodied as, divine beings in human form, there are two aspects. We're multidimensional. There are two aspects that are having to work in tandem. There's the human, the biological animal self that has a nervous system and that has limitations, and there's the soul self connected to source, connected to the one that is innately expansive, that is innately limitless, and that is the remembrance we're returning to. But, and I'll probably make a separate video about this, it's really important that we honour the human. And I've seen for myself, especially during fire seasons, like Aries, this happened to me a little bit, and now during Leo season, I'm going to keep this in mind for Sagittarius season, being a Leo and having a lot of fire in my chart, I tend to get in these like states of I can do it all, and I'm like ready, and like I feel the fire of my soul just burning to like be of service, to create the things, to do the things, to embody the frequency of abundance in every way, to be heart expansive and to be giving. And what I realized is that the reason we don't come into embodied remembrance just like that is because if we did, we would short circuit the human. So when we're going through things like Kundalini awakenings, and this process of our divinity coming online, it takes time for the human, the biological, the animal body, the nervous system to catch up, to expand. I'm seeing very clearly the relationship between our ability to embody our divinity and our nervous system capacity. We can only evolve as fast as the human set points allow. So this is why clearing the fear-based conditioning, the traumas, the wounding that the human self holds is so important for this process, because we are always these expansive, limitless beings at our essence, right? At our core, we are energy. And yet there's a human with limitations, with past conditioning and experiences that are not ready to embody that frequency. And so we have to be gentle with the human evolutionary process in slowly peeling away the layers of fallacy, of fear, of trauma that have kept us from embodying our high frequency state. So that was my first big takeaway. Before I even got to the festival, I had my first proper panic attack in, I think, 3 or 4 years, driving to collect my friends so that we could drive down together. I arrived at their house and I'm grateful that I've got beautiful friends who hold me, and I was shaking and I just started crying profusely. Big childhood stuff is coming up for me at the moment. Not even conscious. It's I think trauma that my body just is ready to move. So that just came through and they held me, and then I went and sat down and I started going into a state of my body just wanting to move this energy and move this trauma. And it was almost as though I'd finished work and I'd shut down my calendar, and it was like my body was like, I can't hold this any longer, and I can't hold anyone else's stuff any longer. I have to just let it go. So that was me starting the festival. And then I was going to a festival which has doubled in size, so it was over 6,000 people there this year. The site was bigger, the amount of like stalls and things that were there were bigger. So it was a different experience this year. Not bad, just different. I'm going to put a light on. I don't really know if that makes a difference, but it's getting a little bit overcast outside. So the second point that arose really naturally as a result of how I was feeling, having reached kind of capacity, was it's really important and essential for our self-care, for our self-love, for our sovereign embodiment to honour our needs. And this is like reclamation of power 101. Honour your needs. How often are we in day-to-day life, especially as empaths, as highly sensitive people, or as people that are really highly attuned to our environments, how often are we scanning our environments to see what other people might need or what might be going on, and how much of our awareness is external, and therefore how much are we not in our center, not in our own embodiment throughout the day, because we're too hyper-vigilant or hyper-focused on the external needs And part of that is a protection safety mechanism, because when we're hypervigilant and hyper-focused on the external, we can start to gauge how safe we are. But a lot of us have also adapted to be really hyper-focused on other people's needs, because as empathic children and highly sensitive children, we could see suffering and we wanted to ease that. As adults, it just doesn't serve us to be trying to be in either rescuer mode or fixer or saviour mode, or in some mode where our awareness is focused outside of ourselves. So the second point that was really kind of reinforced for me was honour your needs. Above mental rigidity that says I should be doing this, right? I'm at a festival, the schedule is 30 pages, double-sided, I think, or perhaps it was 30 pages with both sides, and there's so many things I want to do, so many workshops, and I'm with my best friends, and there's so many other people I know that are going to be here, and I'm burned out, I've got empath overload, I have just gone through an insane kind of quantum shift. I can feel what happened for me in Lionsgate was very significant, and it wasn't bad or wrong, or it wasn't in some way how lost because I haven't anchored it and integrated it fully. It's just now is the time that I'm anchoring it, and my human system is catching up. And so can we move beyond FOMO? Can we move beyond mental rigidity? Can we move beyond these arbitrary standards we set for ourselves and society sets for us about what we should be doing? And can we just accept where we are and honour that? And so during that festival, I realised that really what I needed was a lot of rest. And so I was very, very proud of myself, very proud of Kaylee, because she was in a similar space too, very proud and actually really content with just being in the van for a lot of that time. Especially, I didn't leave the van because the van site was kind of separate to the main camping site and festival. I didn't leave the van camping site until probably early afternoon most days, and the last day into last 2 days were different. But I really honoured the need for just rest, and I did a lot of yoga and journaling and had a lot of big emotional releases. I allowed myself to cry very openly in the campsite with lots of people around. I really just chose to honour myself, mainly out of necessity, because I just knew that if I didn't honour my need for rest, for release, to collapse, to dissolve, to disintegrate, I was in a death portal. To honour the death, disillusion energy, it was only going to burn me out further. So that was the second point, and just really a great mirror for life, that lots can be going on and the pace of life never stops. And unfortunately, mainstream society and culture is set to the patriarchal, the beat of the patriarchy, which is go, 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 go. And it's not sustainable, especially for us as women. So can we honour our need for rest in a society that doesn't appreciate it or really understand it at a deep level, especially for the nervous system? So I think that leads me on to point number 3 about how beautiful it was to be in this space, because Medicine Festival is a sober festival, although I'm sure there were people there who probably snuck in a bit of alcohol in their bottles or were on other substances. But it's a sober family festival. And so it was really lovely to be in a space with so many like-minded beings, so many like-minded resonant souls, where there is just a natural invitation in the space that's been created at Medicine, and I'm sure in other festivals like it, to be yourself, to be authentic. You know, don't harm others, don't impose yourself in a harmful way on other people, but take up space, like be yourself. All of you is welcome here, and in the festival guidelines, nudity is welcome. And I love being naked, so I really took that festival as an opportunity to be naked a lot. I was naked in the van campsite. I walked to and from the bathroom naked. I walked around the actual festival naked. Not a lot with like my bottom half exposed, except for when I was at the lake. I did a little bit, but I kept like a sarong on, and I walked around topless for a lot of the festival. And it was just really, it brought so much ease to my nervous system, actually, just being able to sink more into my authentic expression. So it's amazing how the rigidity and the anxiety and the tension we feel in our systems is actually so much from just not being expressed, not being fully embodied and expressed in how we want to show up in life. So that space provided a container for me to be really playful. I really knew before I entered that I needed play, that I needed lightheartedness, that I needed childlike, joy, because this journey is tough. This journey is taxing. This journey is heavy, especially when we're doing very deep karmic clearing, ancestral work, collective work. It's not light work, So I really needed something as an antidote to that, and it was the perfect landscape for that. I danced and I played, and I laughed a lot, and I just allowed myself to be more fully embodied, I think, in my wholeness, which was very liberating. And I think that leads me on to the fourth point around how conscious community is everything. What allowed the facilitation of so many of us to feel authentically expressed was the fact that we had, co-created a community for that festival portal of safety. And yes, of course, there is going to be ego. Yes, of course, there will be judgment and there'll be the human stuff that comes up. But the overall energetic container and intention created was like, come as you are, enjoy this space, commune with nature, commune with each other in conscious ways. And it really just gave me a glimpse or insight into what humanity is going to move towards. And I'm not going to say what's possible for humanity. In my reality, that is what we are creating right now. I saw the new earth. I saw what happens when we gather intentionally, consciously, when everyone is united with a common purpose and cause, and that common purpose and cause is love. And I had so many beautiful moments during that festival, some with strangers, some in workshops, some with my friends, that touched me very deeply. One of the most profound moments was I went to a Hathor womb initiation, and I'm very called to the lineage of Hathor, to that lineage of priestesses of the rose frequency of the Magdalenas. And it was held by these three beautiful women, and there were about 60 of us in this yurt, and I have goosebumps thinking about what unfolded in that space. It was an hour and a half, a group of strangers. I didn't go with any of my sisters that I knew, but I was joined by sisters in heart. And what unfolded in that space was a deep remembrance of what has been lost, what has been buried. I feel emotional talking about it. What has been denied, which is the feminine, which is the goddess, the mother energy, the divine mother. And in that space, I had such a profound emotional release. And one of the facilitators came over, and she put her forehead to my forehead, and she was rocking with me as I was releasing, and being, a spiritual midwife for me as I moved this energy. And it felt like a birth. It felt like a birth or a rebirth of some kind. And to be held by women in that space, and as I was releasing, many other women around me were releasing, were howling, were screaming, were just sobbing. And as I scanned the room, I saw women swaying, and women just, organically, whether they were conscious of it or not, sharing and expressing their light language, their soul frequency, women deeply in rest and relaxation, perhaps for the first time. I had a woman next to me that I didn't know who held my hand, and it was just such a beautiful remembrance of, like, this is the way that's been lost, this way of sisterhood, and not just exclusively sisterhood, but conscious community. But it's really important for us as women to come back to these sacred spaces where we become oracles together, where we become mediums and we become vessels. I see very clearly how when women gather with intention, every woman in the room becomes in some way a conduit for the goddess to fill that space, and for the feminine face of God to emerge, and that level of love and that level of holding and that level of wisdom and that level of reverence, it's just mind-blowing. So community is everything, and I see how I want conscious community to be central to how I live moving forwards. And for the next leg of my journey from beyond the retreat in Morocco, I'm setting the intention to live in community in some way. I don't know how, I don't know where, I don't know blah blah blah, but that's the intention. I want to live that way. I don't want it to be a sporadic thing that I experience at a festival. I've experienced cohabiting with friends, I've experienced multiple kind of communal settings, and I know that, to me, this is how we repair the fracturing of our very lost society. It's coming back to grassroots community in a very day-to-day sense, tangible sense. And I think that leads me on to my final point about really what I just touched on in that previous point about the denial, the pain of the denial of the feminine and the pain of the denial of the mother. When I really sat with my nervous system burnout and how I was feeling in this death energy, the deepest longing within me was just to collapse into love, to collapse into nourishment, to collapse into this knowing that I'm safe and that I'm held and that I am contained and that I don't have to do it alone, because that's the programming, that's the hyper independent wounded masculine programming that's laid on top of most of us. We've got to do it alone, we've got to go, we've got to push boulders up hills, and all of this stems from the diminishment or disillusion of the Divine Mother, of mother consciousness in our familial networks, so in our actual family networks, in our relationship with the earth, and more profoundly than both of those things, which encapsulates both of those things, the feminine face of God has been completely lost, deliberately, and replaced only with a patriarchal God, only with a he. And we obviously know at this point, or I hope it's clear to those of you on my channel, that God is neither male or female. God is not gendered. God is not confined to these binary ways that we associate with as humans. God is all, and that means that God is also a feminine consciousness as well as a masculine consciousness. And the feminine consciousness of the all, the intuitive, loving mother energy that holds, that nourishes, that sustains life, has been severed deliberately, so that we are moving through this life as motherless children, lost and wandering. And I feel that that is the most profound recognition that came through very consciously. I've been aware of this for some time, but it landed at an even deeper level, that the deepest healing that's needed for me, and the mother wound has really come up strongly after this recognition, and for society, is that we are in desperate need of the mother again. That is what will bring divine balance and restore harmony to this planet, to this humanity. It's the Divine Mother. the restoration, the reclamation of this consciousness within us individually, in connection to the earth, and spiritually in connection with the feminine face of God. And that's both devastating to feel the loss of it, because there is an ancient part of me that remembers my time in roles as a priestess in service to devotion to the goddess, and deeply mourns how it's been lost and severed, because I see the damage within myself but in society as a result of this severing from the mother energy. And I see that it is at the root and the core of all of our dysfunction. So yeah, it's been a profound time, and I hope this sharing of just a few takeaways that came through from that medicine festival portal, I hope that this has been useful or insightful, or in some way perhaps mirrored something to you, a recognition within you, an insight that you are becoming more embodied in. Big changes are happening on the planet. I think we all feel it, consciously or unconsciously. The energetics of this planet have shifted so dramatically, and I saw the final night Sam Garrett was playing on the main stage, and I was going to leave early because I was exhausted, but I stayed for a few songs with my friend, and I scanned the crowd. We were all standing together and swaying and singing together. You know, no substances, just united in love. And I looked around, and part of me knew that the earth that I envision and that so many of us envision in our hearts, it's already here. It's already here. And it's birthed through each of us. It's not a top-down thing. The new earth is established through each of us as a consciousness. And I saw it. I saw it at medicine. And in that moment in the crowd, there was a disillusion of all sense of separation from that earth, where we are united in love, where we are united and harmonized, and spiritually embodied. There was a disillusion of that, and I saw that it's already here. And that gave me so much hope and gratitude. Even though I think the 3D reality may continue to mirror and present with darkness, that is not the ultimate reality that humanity is moving towards. The light and love always wins, and that's what I'd like to leave with tonight, today, this morning, whenever you're listening to this. Light and love always wins, because it's the only truth, and truth always prevails. Sending you so much love, beautiful souls. Namaste.